Paul, will you say your first and last name for me, please?
Yes, ma'am. Paul Morse, Paulmorse.
And where are you from?
I'm from Lubbock, Texas.
Lubbock, Texas.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're here today with the Ty Foundation's second annual tournament. Could you tell us how you ended up from Lubbock, Texas to the Nashville, Tennessee area here on Lipscomb Campus University?
Well, I've been fortunate enough to meet the Osman family, Ty's mother and daddy, my heart donor, and we've kept in correspondence by email and everything. And we got a chance to meet the family on the first year anniversary last year, and the day that he had the accident. And we've just become just like family. It just feels like it's, another mother and daddy to me. And even though I'm older than they are, and we've got kiddos nearly their age, it's been a blessing from God. All of it just, I just feel so, every day's a bonus, even for the transplant and all. But now it's like a triple bonus every single day, because I've had two great grandsons born since, and I wouldn't have ever known them. And they told me when I went to Baylor that less than 10% of my heart was working, and that I'd probably have to wait a year and a half or longer to receive a heart. And they flew me to Dallas on February the 13th, and I received Ty's heart on March the 6th, 2012. So I was very, very, extremely lucky. And
did you ever think that you would meet the donor family?
I was hoping and praying that we would, but the doctors and the organ donation center told us so many of them never have contact with their, for whatever reasons, personal reasons, whatever. They said very, very few ever get a chance to meet their donor family. And so it was just a blessing all the way around. They actually wrote, they told us, they said, usually wait about a year, and then, everything kind of settles down. And but they wrote us a letter in 4 months after it happened. And of course, we had to work through the transplant alliance. We could tell them her name and the state we lived in. Other than that, we couldn't talk to them. But anyway, through God's love and intervention, we were able to meet them. And Nancy called and asked, she said, would you be able to come to it? And I said, I would love to be there. And it's just like I went to heaven.
Wow.
It just feels like sacred ground. And
could you tell me how long on the waiting list were you before you received the call that you had Ty's heart?
Well, I was lucky enough. They had put me on. I came down in December of 2011, and they put me on a Primacor pump, 24/7 pump. And they said it works real good on some people, but some people don't. And it didn't work on me. They kept speeding it up. But I just deteriorated. Dr. Hall said, we're going to have to get you down here. And so that's why she went ahead and made me come to Dallas. And when I checked in February 13th, she said, you won't leave the hospital until you have a heart.
Wow.
And then they somehow or other, they was able to speed it up and work me up the condition, because she said I wasn't going to last a year and a half or 2 years. And so it just, actually 21 days was all it was, from February 13th to March the 6th. I think that's 21 days. I may be wrong. But it seemed like 3 years when I was in the hospital. But
what do you say to those who may be hesitant to sign up to become an organ donor?
I say it's the best thing in the world. I've got several grandkids, and everyone, tears roll out, because they didn't know how long I was going to be around, and I didn't know how long I was going to be around. And they have went back and got signed up for organ donation on their license, and a lot of their friends, it's just kind of like dominoes falling. Everyone, they knew how bad shape I was, and Bailey always said, Granddaddy's my hero, and it's just been so. I've even got it on my license, and I'm sure there's probably not a whole lot of mine with everything I've had and all. but they said, oh yeah, we can definitely use it for research and stuff. And so it's amazing. The thing that means so much to me about it is, what can you do in today's time without it costing you money? You can get on the organ donation list. It doesn't cost you a penny.
Right.
And if it just saves one of your loved ones in your family or somebody you don't even know, it's worth it. You can't put a price tag on it. And that's what, old cars, they go in the junkyards and they strip the motors out of them and everything. And, anything is valuable. But, if you pray about it and see your way, just think about it. If your loved one was laying there, if you could extend their life, it's been such a blessing.
I gotta say, when you said you want to hear his heart, I was like, yeah, I want to hear his heart. I never would have thought that, but that I would be hearing someone that I love who's gone on to heaven, hear how their life has been extended through another human being by giving life. Do you have, is that normal for you to ask people to hear your heart beating? Is that part of the overjoy that you feel for being for being alive?
Yes, ma'am. I don't care how busy anybody is. I asked them, I said, whether they're interested or even know Neil, I said, you got just a minute, I'd like to tell you something. And they just said, what is it? Get talking to them. And I've never had anybody that turned away or said, no, I don't have time. And they're just, so many of them, tears just start coming into their eyes. And it's amazing. But unless somebody just totally walks off from me, I'm going to keep telling my story. And in fact, if they don't walk too fast, I'm going to stay right with them.
And I got to say, you climbed up 3 flights. Was that 3 flights of steps we came up? So. And I was the one out of breath.
Yeah. Well, I tell you for sure, when they put me in Dallas, they immediately had me in a wheelchair, and I couldn't go hardly in. But one of the doctors, he told me later, he said, when you came in, he said, I really didn't think we was going to be able to help you. He said, you had one foot in the grave. And I said, I bet you I was kicking, trying to get that other foot in. And he laughed and he said, yes, you were. And so many of my nurses, they said they couldn't believe it. Just, because it's just been a miracle that I can't even explain. But I'm so thankful, that I have another chance. He extended my life, because every day it's just, I think this may be my last day, but I'm going to make the best of it. I tell you for sure. It's anybody that I can talk to, I'm willing to. And anybody can hear his heart anytime they want to. And,
we know this is a lot of medical, how medicine has become so far advanced, but what does this say to you about the way God operates?
He's everything, and Dr. Hardaway, one of my doctors, right at the very first time he ever met us, he said, you'll look back and say, I didn't know how in the world I was going to do that, but it just, and looking back, that's what we had worried. They told us, they said, have a bag packed, and he said, when you get the call, you've got to get to Dallas within 4 hours. Well, it's 360 miles from Lubbock to Dallas, and I said, my wife couldn't even drive it in 4 hours the way she drives, and he laughed. But we were worried about, they said, have a plane lined up, and I said, okay. And so we were worried to death about that. And it just so happened, I was in Lubbock Park, they let me out that night, and they put me on it, and they were going to send me by ambulance. And Dr. Hall said, no, you got to fly him. And they flew me air here down there. But it just, you can't put a price tag on it, because you're only one heartbeat away. And it's just priceless.
For the plane to line up, for all that, the timing, everything was about timing.
Yes.
But it was also in God's time.
That's right.
And I mean, as I'm listening to you talk, you just see God's hand all in this.
Right.
And
totally.
And you are a living testimony to what God can do even through trials and pain of others. He gives life.
That's right.
At the same time.
That's right. And I know Christ was crucified on the cross to save all of our sins, but Ty gave his life to extend mine. And I just want to give God the glory for all of it, because every single thing has been, he had a purpose, and I'm not smart enough to be able to figure out and explain all, but it means so much to me. The Osmonds being such a strong, wonderful Christian family that I'm just overwhelmed by the love of God throughout every bit of it.
You know, I think your story is one that we have to share with so many. And as April being National Organ Donor Month, and Nashville just been the host of the Women's Final Four, I think it was just so appropriate for them to have the Ty 2 basketball tournament here on Lipscomb campus at the arena. And I think it's also, I want to share with you that it's a blessing to have met you. And I've been wanting to meet you. And I am just honored to have had this time with you. And I'm looking forward to our actual radio interview where we can talk even more about your journey and have your family share how this has been for them as well.
You bet.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paul.
Thank you, ma'am.
This is John Mahomes, Live Your Best Life Radio, radio that empowers, inspires, and motivates you to live your best life.